Um, the Erasmus study abroad scheme has been an interesting experience for me. Like I've said in my posts on the forum, my views on living abroad change from day to day. Since I found out that I was accepted onto the Erasmus scheme, um, I've been in two minds about whether I actually wanted to go through with it or not. This would be the first time that I am living away and it's in a completely different country. So when I first found out about it, I was, even though I knew before that I would have to, it was daunting. Like I was nervous about it. Also because I was unable to live with anyone that I knew who were coming from like Coventry. Um, any of my friends, I wasn't able to actually find a place with them. So I ended up having to live alone or with strangers. So that was a bit that was a bit nerve wracking for me because at that moment in time, I wasn't really um, I wasn't really in the state of mind to meet new people, or let alone live with them. But once I actually came to Madrid and moved in, I was greeted warmly by the letting agency and my former flatmates. Um, so it helped ease my nerves quite a bit. Um, the first the first few the first week or so in Madrid was pretty hectic. Trying to find supermarkets and train station and the coach station and all of that. Um, it was a bit hard because I didn't know any well I knew very little Spanish. Um, and even then I wasn't confident or comfortable speaking in Spanish with what I knew. So it made it quite hard. But fortunately, I had friends who lived close by, the friends that actually came from the country, so they helped me quite a bit in um, finding all the places that I needed to go to actually get myself started with living in Spain. Um, and that included going to university as well and sorting out a Spanish bank account and enrolling into university. We did all of that together within the first couple of weeks of coming to Madrid. Um, first half or the first third of first term at university was absolute chaos, in my opinion. Um, Timetables were continuously being altered. Um, Classes, the rooms would be switched. Um, there were problems with ID cards. To this day, I still haven't got my ID card. And I don't really see the point of getting it when I only have a few weeks left now. So that happened. I know one of my peers. He had no classes in first semester. Um, it was just absolutely all over the place, and things didn't calm down until mid October, and that's when we actually everything got sorted. Timetables were sorted and up online and finalised and everything. So that was just it was just yeah. In terms of the actual classes though, first term were probably my best classes. I had sculpture and a theatre class, and I found them really interesting. They were they were classes that I hadn't, there were things that I hadn't done since starting university, and it was interesting to go back and actually do classes and classes that were actually something that I found interesting a while back, and like having to do them again, it was nice to actually do them again. I met quite a few people in the classes. Quite a few were actually Coventry students, both from my course and other courses. One thing that I would say is that even though the classes were in were in English, sorry, there were quite a few Spanish people in the classes, and I noticed that especially in the first semester, people wouldn't really mix. Like me and all the Coventry students, we stayed together, and then all the Spanish and the other international students, they'd stay in their groups. Which, when I come to think of it now, it was a bit upsetting because it would have been nice to actually speak and get to know some people, some Spanish people, because for some reason I have met quite a few people, and I've befriended them, but none of them are actually Spanish. Like in the first term, I lived with a French guy, a Dutch guy, and a French girl. The two guys who I'm really pretty good friends with now, even though they've left. And then I met some of their friends as well from Holland and France, who I know now and I speak to and I get on with. There's some Italian people that I've met. There's some Swedish people that I've met. There's a lot of Mexican people that I've met since in second term, who I'm pretty good friends with, and we talk and we meet up. But no actual Spanish natives, which is a bit upsetting. But yeah, since first term, I've noticed that there are quite a few like there's been quite a few changes with people. Like I think they've gotten more comfortable speaking to different people throughout first term. So now during second term, I actually met quite a few people in our classes, and we've spoken a bit more, which is actually pretty nice. In terms of like living first term, I spent quite a lot of money, and it was purely because I wasn't comfortable with like not knowing what sort of food I was eating. Like so I went for like branded food. I went and bought like Cocoa Pops, Weetabix, all that. Bread I wouldn't really like. The bread tasted a bit different, so I was kind of reluctant to actually eat it back then. I'd be buying water from the shop. I'd be buying drinks from the shop. I spent quite a bit of money on chicken. I used to spend like 20 to 30 euros on chicken a week and just eat chicken all week. I'd cook it myself and eat it, but that's where the majority of my money was spent. I also lost my bank card in the first term. In the first week, no, in the first month. Towards the end of September, I lost my English Barclays card, which had all my money on. So I was living off my Travelex for about for 3 months until I went back in December and got a new card. So yeah, it's like first term was very mixed, but it was my best term, and it was my favorite, and it was the term that I was most active. Like in second term, we had class, second term we had that's when all our like media classes were happening. So for me and my friends on my course, um, that's when we all had like TV classes, film directing classes, photography classes. So we were all busy and concentrated on university, so we didn't really do much outside. Um, yeah, so we didn't really do much outside. We were more focused on actually doing courses that related to our course in England, um, because it was really hard to actually get classes at UEM for the courses that we wanted to do, because most of them ended up being in Spanish and none of us were comfortable speaking Spanish. So we were reluctant to actually take a class in Spanish and try and get somewhere, which is something that I sort of regret now, because it would have been interesting to see if the sort of standard of the English speaking classes compared anything to the standard of the Spanish speaking classes, because the English speaking classes there weren't many students and the classes were like between 2 hours and 4 hours, and any work that you had to do had to be done within the hours. So if you had a project, if you had to film anything, it would have to be done within the hours, within class hours and on campus, which sort of restricted us quite a bit. And now that I think about it, I would have liked to know if um, the actual Spanish speaking classes, if they were any more flexible, because there were more of them. Would it have been more flexible for us, and would it have been better for us to actually get things done? Um, but yeah, learning Spanish is one of my, or not learning Spanish is one of my biggest regrets. I mean, I have been learning on and off throughout the year, but I haven't been committed to it to actually learn it enough. Um, and I think that's where I've let myself down quite a bit, because if I knew how to speak a bit more, I might have actually been able to. Well, I definitely would have been able to communicate with locals and the native Spanish people. So I probably would have been able to make more contacts and meet more people and network a bit more if I actually learned the language a bit more. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm still wanting to learn Spanish, and I'm still hoping that I do learn Spanish and one day I can come back and explore more and speak to people a bit more, because there's people that I see every day when I leave my house. You know, there's shops up and down the road, and there's people that I see every day, but I don't feel comfortable speaking to them because I don't feel like I can. You know, there's only a certain amount of things that I can say before I run out of things like that I know how to say, and before I run out of things of understanding. Um, and sometimes I do feel really rude because there's people that see me every day. I come out of the flat, and everyone else that comes out and sees them, they speak to each other, but then I'm just there like with my headphones in, walking down the street, not really looking at anyone, not really saying anything to anyone. And part of the culture is that they're all pretty close and pretty friendly people. So it is a bit upsetting that I can't do that, because I would love to. Like I would, um, I've been here for so long now that I feel like part of the community, but then at the same time I'm not, because I can't speak or understand or share anything with them. Um, but yeah, um, so yeah, second term, in terms of like living and exploring and everything, I didn't really do much. I only started towards the end of second term. me and a few others, we actually started trying to get out and get to places and see things. But even then, um, they weren't really places that we'd never been before. They'd be like areas that we've been to, and we just explore a bit more around, which isn't bad. But it would have been nice to actually get to places that we've never been. You know, places that we've heard about. Like there's mountains that I haven't been up yet, and there's areas in Madrid like the southwestern area I haven't been yet, because most of the time I end up heading towards university or towards my friends' houses, and they're all on like the east side, so it doesn't really help that I haven't been to explore more or less half of the city. I haven't explored yet, which is something that I hope to do in the next few weeks, at least explore a bit of it. So I can just say, yeah, okay, I've been there, I've seen there, and then at least then I can probably come back one day, hopefully, and explore it more and do more with it. What else? In terms of work for myself, like improving my portfolio and all that, because I haven't explored much, I haven't had much like work that I can put towards, which is something that I am now working on. By the time I leave in the end of June, I hope to have enough footage to put together a sort of show reel of my year, so I can say that I've actually done something towards my degree and towards my professional career, that I can use in the future. So that is something that I'm currently working on. I try to go out and film, but since coming back from Easter, it's been raining quite a bit, which has sort of put me off going out. Not necessarily going out, but going out with my camera and filming, because of weather. Hopefully in the upcoming weeks the weather will get better and I will be going out more and filming more and exploring a bit more. I have some friends coming over as well, which will give me a reason to go out and take them to places. And there will be places that I haven't been to myself yet. I've been advised to go to, but I haven't been yet, and I hope to explore that with them. So that should be interesting. Another thing that I've been doing is poetry. I write poetry, and I've been doing that for years now. And since coming into Madrid, I've maybe written one or two short pieces, but my aim is to sort of use them and incorporate them into some footage to actually create some like art pieces. That'll be my next project. Also, since being here, I've still kept in touch with quite a few of my classmates who are studying there, doing their final year now, and they've sort of given me an insight into the final year and what they're doing and how it's going and all of that. So they've sort of helped me get an idea of what I should be expecting when I go back for my final year. All the coursework, all the research and everything, they've helped me understand a bit more about what to expect. And since they've finished their FMPs, they've sent me the links as well, or they've told me where to find them. So I can actually go and look at their work and see like the standard of the work. And since watching them, I've noticed that there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done next year. The standard that I expected some of my peers' works to be are not up to the standard that I thought they would be. And since speaking to them, they've made me understand that the year isn't as easy and as straightforward as we all thought it would be. I mean, we all knew that it was going to be hard, but we didn't understand just how hard it would be. So they've helped me understand that, and they've advised me to keep at least like 3 to 5 ideas for my F&P, different ideas, because you might not get cleared for the one that you're hoping for. The one that you think is your best might not be seen as your best. So it's a good idea to keep a variety of ideas and keep your mind open. So that is another thing that I'm currently working on. I'm thinking of several different ideas, short film ideas, documentary, maybe even a TV series or something, like different ideas and different genres, to like explore with and play with. So when I go back, I have a few that I can like pitch to and see which gets the best feedback, or which gets the best, like which has like the best which has the best like feedback. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that is one thing that I am currently working on. In terms of like what I plan on doing after graduation, it's a bit of a tough question. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion with me and friends about where I see myself, or where we all see ourselves going after we graduate. In all honesty, like the first year of university, I was really into media. I wanted to be a film director. I still do, but like since actually starting the course, there's been certain things that have actually started to put me off it a bit. It's mainly all the experimental work that we were doing in second year. Work with like Popcorn Maker and Korsakov and all these sort of new web like online film editing softwares that we were sort of experimenting with. It's that sort of thing that's kind of put me off, because I don't feel like I was learning anything. I feel like we were just me and my year group were just like testing out software for like the second years and the first years. We weren't actually learning anything, and none of our work was up to any standard, because we were limited with this sort of new experimental software. So I don't feel like I achieved much, and it sort of put me down quite a bit. But by having this year out, it's sort of given me the chance to get back into it by doing things that I wanted to do. Like, you know, just being able to explore with a proper camera and edit with proper software. It's sort of like got me back to where I was in first year, and got me back to the point where I actually want to be like, I still want to continue with it. But like still, in terms of what I want to do after graduation, I'm not too sure. I hope that I can go into film directing. I do want to go into film directing. Um, but in all honesty, it will depend on how my final year goes when I get back. Um, I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can, but I don't want to set myself something that like I don't feel I'd be able to achieve. I like to take things slowly and take it step by step. So I don't really like to think too far ahead because I know that plans change a lot and things can change a lot. So I don't want to do that. But I do hope that one day I can be a film director, even if it is just a short film director. You know, if I can go somewhere with that, then I hope that I will work towards it until I get there, or until something better comes along, or if plans change, then plans change. But right now, I am working towards my FMP, and once that is done, I will work further towards where I want to be once I get closer to that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that's happened since like I've started this year abroad. There's a lot of things that have changed with myself and with people around me. So it's hard to say exactly like it's hard to say how like whether I've changed or how I've changed, because there are a lot of things that have changed since I've come. I feel like I have become more confident with myself, and I am more independent. Not that I wasn't before. I feel like I was a pretty independent lad before I even came to Madrid, but since coming here and living on my own, I think I've proven, not more to myself, more to everyone who knows me, that I can be independent. Because before I moved to Madrid, my friends and my family, they were pretty like, "Oh, are you gonna be able to do it?" Like, they weren't doubting me. They were just sort of worried that because they know that I haven't been anywhere before, like lived on my own for X amount of time on my like before. They were a bit unsure about how I'd cope, especially with how I am as a person. They know that like I can be very uncomfortable with new situations at times. So it was interesting for me to see how I'd cope with that myself, but more so how they would, like, for them to see that I can do it, because I knew that I could, but for them to actually, and they believe that I could, but for them to actually see it and understand it fully, I think that's the biggest achievement for me, is that I've been able to prove that I can actually do this. Yeah, so I have become more confident. I do feel like I'm a bit more social now. Like before I came to Spain, I didn't feel like I was much of a social person. Even though I know that I would speak to people, I didn't think that like I spoke to that many people until I came to Spain. And out of everyone, I think I speak to more people, like not only from my course, but like people that I've met at university and my old flatmates and my new flatmates. There's a lot more people that I have met somehow during my time here, and it's helped me, it's built my network up quite a bit this year, which is something that I'm pretty proud of. Um, yeah, I didn't really notice how many people I actually spoke to until I came to Spain. Like, I didn't realize the amount of people that I knew back in England, and now the amount of people that I've met and like got to know while being in Spain. It's 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 something that I find pretty shocking because I didn't think that I was that sort of person, but clearly now I am, and I hope to keep it going. Like, I hope to keep in touch with all these people that I've met because they are all they're all interesting people, and um, they all have a certain set of skills that maybe one day I would find useful, or maybe I have skills that they would find useful. That's one thing that I have learned this year, is that always try and keep in touch with everyone that you meet, because one day you may actually find that they can help you in some way, and vice versa. Um, so yeah, that is that is basically more or less my view on this year. Um, I don't have much footage right now, but I will be creating a sort of show reel by at least by the start of September, like by the start of next year. Um, but for now, this is my view on the year. Um, I hope that it has given you an insight in how it's helped me, and how it's helped, like how it can help others. Um, the one thing that I would suggest to like any student that's thinking of doing this, like any second year student or anyone else that is thinking of doing a year out, um, is depending on how you are, think about whether you want to stay in one place for a whole year or whether you want to mix it up a bit. Because the one thing from what I've said that you might get is that my first year and my first term was my best. It was where I was more active. And by the time I came back after Christmas, I was a bit comfortable here. I was a bit too comfortable to actually do anything. Um, and I kind of wish at times that I hadn't stayed here. Like, I did my one term studying, and then maybe I went to another country, or I went somewhere else and studied some more, or I went somewhere and did work. But I kind of wish that I did do something different, because you have a whole year, and especially because I haven't learned a language, it's, it, it wasn't really like a big deal if I left, because I wouldn't have to really learn another language. Like, it's not like, oh, I've just learned a language and then I have to go and learn another language. Um, like, it would be nice to learn languages as well. That's one other thing I would suggest, is that if you definitely know that you want to go somewhere and study, learn the language as much as you can before you get there, and then while you're there, you can improve it more by talking and communicating. But at least if you know the basic ways to communicate with people, it will make it easy once you actually get there, especially if you don't know anyone. Um, but if you're one of them people that gets restless easily or gets too comfortable easily, then I would suggest that you mix it up a bit and you go to like either study or work or do an internship or whatever. But you study in one place for one term, and then you go somewhere else. Like, choose a second place and go and study there, or go back to England and get a job. Do something and mix it up so you can experience more things at once in one year, because it's a great opportunity, and you should really take it and use it to your fullest. Um, so yeah, that is all from me. Thank you for listening, and